Hi, I'm Cathryn Lavery, and today I want to talk to you about how to build a powerful network even if you're an introvert. We've likely all heard the saying, your network is your net worth. Well, in 2011, when I moved to the US, I knew only 3 people nationwide in New York City. Never mind, it's a city of 8 million people, and I knew 3. I also had around $750 in my bank account, so both my network and my net worth, once I paid rent, were effectively 0. And I was, and still am, an introvert. Now, since then, I've gone from being an introverted architect, knowing no one, to an entrepreneur with a powerful network, and yes, I'm still an introvert. So I want to share a little bit about how I build, maintain, and strengthen high-quality relationships. First, what do I mean when I say a powerful network? Is it hanging out with Tony Robbins or Tim Ferriss in Fiji? Is it playing Monopoly with Damon John? Is it getting on a Zoom call with Toby, the CEO and founder of Shopify? Maybe. But really, I just said all that to keep you engaged in this video. See, the thing is, the person in these pictures in this video wasn't really me. At least it wasn't back then, back when I knew only 3 people. Now, had you told me back then that I would be able to create this type of network, I would have thought you were crazy or that I had my identity stolen. See, I wasn't a networker. I was the person that avoided the limelight, or if I was pushed into it, I'd try to pull someone in to share it with me. I spoke to only a handful of people at events. When I would leave them, I was sighing. I was like, thank God, get me out of there. I hit my internal quota of socializing. And if I just met you, you would think of me as shy, mysterious maybe aloof to some people. See, the person in those pictures wasn't me yet. And then I started getting into personal development and reading about, what successful people do. And I read, the now famous quote, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And when I read that quote, I looked around and I realized that no one was living the life that I aspired to. And so I knew I had to find my people. And that's when the intentional work began of creating a network of people that I wanted to be like, to be with, to be like in the future. And that is the power of being intentional with your relationships. Humans are social beings. We thrive and are our best when we feel connected and included, even if we're introverts. Studies have shown that a lack of social interaction not only leads to loneliness, but is linked to harmful health effects. In fact, it could be the new smoking. It makes us less happy, our health declines earlier, and we live shorter lives. So building your network is about creating a social structure of people that inspire and empower you to be your best and grow with you. Over the past 6 years, I have been super intentional with creating a network of people like that, of friends that I can rely on. So it's not about big names. A powerful network is a network in which you have relationships with people who are really great at what they do. Maybe they're top of their field, or at least working towards getting there. They are people who are where you are. They are people who are where you want to be, and they experience similar problems and challenges to you, so you can talk to them about it. They are people who are there for you because of who you are and not because they believe they can get something out of you. They're genuine connections, so you want to focus on the quality of the relationships versus the quantity. Doesn't matter if you have 1 million friends on Facebook and you don't have anyone to go out with on the weekend. It is really important that you focus on deepening connections rather than widening to surface level connections with a bunch more people. Like I said, a powerful network, it's not about famous names. It's not about people that you can show off. It's about high quality relationships with high quality people that you can invest in for the long term. Now, before we jump into, okay, how do we actually do that? Let's clear up a common misconception about introverts. So introvert does not equal antisocial. Being introverted, it's an energy thing related to how you respond to stimulation. Being introverted, it's not like an excuse for not being social or it's a hurdle for building your personal network. It is really just how you get energized. It's like saying you can only take a road trip to California in an Audi versus a Tesla. They're just powered differently, they get energy differently, and so both will get you to the same place. They just might take you a little longer to get there in a Tesla because it's fueled differently and I'll have to stop along the way. Much like an introvert doesn't want to go from one social event to the next, they need to regroup, restore their energy alone, and then they're totally fine in social situations. So don't let the fact that you're an introvert make you feel like you can't build a network. In fact, introverts generally listen a lot better than extroverts, and so you actually have a superpower of being able to listen to people and really hear them. And this is something that people really love and is something that introverts can use to your advantage. So manage your energy, not your time, and don't let being an introvert be a crutch. If you're an introvert, focus on your strengths, which is one-to-one attention rather than one-to-many. So when you're trying to connect with people, don't concern yourself with the quantity of people or connecting with, you and 12 other people. You want to, I don't want to say corner people, but you want to have like one-to-one conversations and really make a connection in a small group rather than a big group. So a natural talent, like I said, of introverts is we are skilled at active listening and processing information internally. So this allows us to build more meaningful, deep connections because we're actually listening to people, which is all people want to feel, that they're being listened to and that they're being understood. So what I do at an event, I will speak to a lot fewer people than other people I go to an event with. I will come out with deeper connections, even though I spoke to less people, because I'll choose to speak to 5 people and have a meaningful, genuine connection with them rather than try to get business cards from every single person in the room. I also know when I'm done, I'm really done. I don't try to stay beyond when my energy tells me, because I know if I'm at an event and I'm feeling low energy and tired, I don't want to meet someone new because I will make a bad first impression and you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I'm a big fan of the Irish exit. I will just leave and regroup when I get my energy back. So don't feel like you have to apologize or be there when you don't want to be there. Irish exit, come back when you have more energy and leave when you feel like you've connected with enough people. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, think of your relationships like a bank account. Now, when you set up a new account, you need to first deposit money into the account before you can take any out. They get really mad if you try to take money out and there's nothing in there. So think of that the same way as when you're building a relationship. You should focus on making deposits, giving value where you can before you ask for anything in return, because you haven't built up credit with this person. And the last thing that people want is to have someone that feel like they're taking before they've given anything. Now, when I first began, this journey that I've been talking about, I was super insecure in my skills. I was an architect, so I didn't feel like an entrepreneur. I had severe imposter syndrome. And what that meant was I didn't feel like I had a lot to give. And so I just started learning and gaining new skills, and also felt like I needed to constantly prove myself, which meant I'm not asking anyone for anything. I'm constantly trying to give value to other people. And when I look back now, this insecurity helped me a ton build relationships, because I was always focused on, okay, how do I add value? How do I make it seem like I'm meant to be here? I was constantly putting in deposits into my relationship accounts and creating a bunch of surplus value wherever I could. So always engage in long-term thinking. When we think of things and relationships and people long-term, we apply second-order consequences. We're gonna think, okay, what will this lead to? And we're less likely to take something for granted or become a person in constant overdraft status, because if we're in constant overdraft status with other people, they are not going to invest in us because we're not a good investment. Here's the secret. Everyone wants to succeed. It's actually not a secret, but success boils down to first principles thinking, which is solving valuable problems. And if you can help someone do that, that will help them succeed, and you will strengthen your relationship with that person. When we can solve a problem without having to ask, it's even better. Why? Because it's clear that you've both considered them, you've listened to them, you know and care enough to be aware of their problems, and you've put in some effort to solve it for them. So when I say permissionless, it often means not asking someone how you can help. Because if I go to you and I say, how can I help you? Now I'm putting a burden on you that you have to give me something to give you to help. It's just, you're already piling on work on someone that you're trying to help. So unless it's already top of mind, now you just give them another job to do. Instead, find a problem someone has and solve it without asking. This is 10 times more valuable and something that I've used for literally years to strengthen my network, not as a way to, build connections. Just I'll see something, I'll connect it to someone else, and then I'll just send them a resource. So this can be things like helping people solve problems or find opportunities. If you see a friend's company hiring and you know someone that needs a job, that's a connection. You just solve two people's problems. You share the post with your network, you connect them to anyone you think would be a good fit. And again, you're helping multiple people and they will thank you for it later. And they'll also just think of you top of mind positively if you continually do that. Intellectual matchmaking, just connecting people in your network to each other. So this is someone that you know that is involved in this industry and you know someone else. You ask their permission to introduce them, talk about why they would benefit knowing each other, and then connect them with what you think the next step should be. The worst thing to do is to connect two busy people that didn't ask for an introduction and there's no call to action in the email, so they're both just like sitting there with another task to do. So that's not how you matchmake, that's just how you give more chores to your friends. The way you do it is you ask permission, you create a call to action in your email, and I'll share some examples of how I've done this in the link below, but this is super powerful and really helpful because people will start coming to you when they see what type of connections that you have. If you've ever read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, you'll know all about the term connectors. These are the go-to people who make things happen. They have a vast network of connections and they know who to go to. So I actually dislike the word network, even though I've used it many times in this video, because it seems kind of icky and transactional. And I want you to think of yourself not as a networker, but as a connector. You're connecting people and ideas in order to better benefit those people. Now, you don't become a connector overnight, but over time, if you're consistent, you do the stuff in this video, you will become a connector. How I've done this over the last few years is I've hosted dinners to bring people together. So pre-coronavirus, I was doing probably 6 to 8 of these a year where I would invite 6 to 8 people to dinner so they can meet each other. And when I first started doing these, I would co-host them with a friend where we invited 2 people to dinner that the other person didn't know. And that way it's a group of 6 that I just met 2 new people. They just met more people and you're helping them grow their network. And you're also growing their network. And you also don't have to pay for dinner. You're just inviting people to dinner and you split the check. See, people love connecting and it's really fun to be a connector so that you can host these type of events and that people think of you when they think of, oh, how did I meet this person? Oh, I met them, through you. Lastly is show up and support. So this sounds really simple, but showing up for people and supporting their projects goes a long way, whether it's sharing something on social media, whether it's liking a post, commenting, going to a show, whatever it is, show up so that you get noticed and you're also supporting what it is they're working on. Okay, so here is your action items. 1, create your connections list. List out the top 25, to 40 people that you want to work on your relationship with. Even if it's only weak ties, it's totally fine. You just want, these are the people I'm gonna focus on. 2 is create a system for connecting. So it doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, really keep it as simple as you can to get started. You just want to have a way to manage and keep connecting with people so that you're not leaning on your memory. So like I said, once you have your connection list for each person, try to include, personal details like their birthday, maybe stuff that you've talked about before, recommendations, anything that you've come across that they might like, and then schedule time for building connections. So it could be sending email on a Friday. It could be getting on a call with one of them once a month. It could be blocking your calendar and just doing something for these, group of people once a week. Now I do this like 1 to 2 times a month, and typically throughout the month, I'll just note ideas or books I think of or things to remember so that when the time comes, I don't just forget everything, because now it's clear that, I was intentional with these people. You want to schedule the important relationships. So whether it's setting up a recurring Zoom call or a monthly dinner, create a schedule so that you're blocking out time for these people and you're not just expecting it to happen, because if it's not in your calendar or if you're not intentional, it's just not going to happen. For example, one of my closest entrepreneur friends, we've never lived in the same place, but we've been doing weekly calls every Tuesday since 2016. We do it every week. I have other friends I do bi-weekly calls with or monthly calls with. And my fiance and I have a weekly dinner set up with our couple friends where every Thursday we switch off cooking each week. And that way we always know that we are keeping up with that relationship. Share interesting events, books, resources, be abundant with helping people. You want to be the person that people go to when they need help, because that is, again, how you become a connector, and also just how you add value to people's lives without really having to do that much. And lastly, don't take I can't make it as a rejection. Keep inviting people even if they can't make it often. So chances are, if you're doing this, you are trying to connect with busy people. So don't take I can't make it as a rejection of you. For example, I had a friend who would travel a ton and he pretty much always couldn't make it. But I drop a text anyway. I wouldn't take it personally if he couldn't make it. And then one day he was like, please keep inviting me to this stuff. Like, I hate that I'm traveling so much and I miss all these, but I really appreciate your invites. So if you do all of the stuff that I've talked about in this video, you will be on your way to growing both yourself and building this network that I talked about. Now, onto this video, I know I just put a ton of stuff on you. I've created a cheat sheet so that you can kind of take what I've said in the video and apply it to your own life. If you have more questions about growing your network, drop a note in the comments and I will help in any way that I can.